Bev. Morning, Noppadol.
Hi.
Hi, Azita. How you doing, Paina?
Okay.
Good.
More or less.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Do you still need
you
to
managing
have...
okay on your own there?
Sorry?
Are you managing okay on your own there?
Yes, I guess so.
Right. Good for you.
I'll be having the other eye surgeries in about a week, so. Yeah.
Okay, is that cataract surgery you're referring to?
Cataract. I
Yeah.
had one of
Yeah.
them done, and now it's time
Right.
for the other one.
Okay, is the one that's been done better for it?
Well, it's hard to tell because I can't really use it properly.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But
I just had 2 cataracts done here about a month ago.
yeah, it takes
And
a
we both
while.
went through it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom, I missed that. Was that you or Bev or both?
It was me. No, I just had both my eyes done about a month
Yeah.
ago.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Both done at the same time.
Oh,
No, 2 weeks apart. Yeah.
2 weeks apart. Yeah.
I'm having trouble with my kitty. She wants to be in the middle of it.
It's pretty massive for a kitty.
Yeah, she's a big kitty. Yeah.
Hi, Roti.
Hi.
Sawadee Cup, everybody. Nice to see you, Tao. And Tam.
Glad to see you.
Yes, I've been free of my glasses since my eye surgery, so that's quite nice.
I'm not going to be able to be without glasses, though.
Oh, aren't you? Jonathan can't be either, but
I was told differently, but I end up with glasses just the same as before. So
Well, I've been told I will have to have glasses afterwards, but I can't get them until this is both
Yeah.
of them are done. So right now it's
right. Yeah.
everything's blurry.
are you there, Ajahn? No. And Kun Noppadol, have you stayed in Bangkok all this time?
Yes.
Yes. And are you able to go out a little more now? Is things beginning to open up a little bit?
Yes, also.
Sorry,
Sawadee ka, Ajahn.
Sawadee Cup, Ajahn.
Sawadee ka.
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
Sorry, everyone. Please carry on.
Tam, who lives in Sydney, was just mentioning that she's studying about different conditions. Anything you would like to bring up or any point of interest, Tam?
Sarah, I've just started to read only a few pages, so not yet. But I read the reply from John through the group regarding about the intention. And then through what I understand, the explanation from John about intention is another part of the thinking process. Is that right? Thinking process, intention.
Well, what we conventionally refer to as intention is just a kind of thinking. So if I say, well, I'm intending to do this or do that, that is thinking about doing this or that in a certain way. Likewise, for effort, if I actually make an effort to do something in a certain way, then that is the conventional idea of effort. But in either case, it's not the reality of the same name. So the only thing in common between the conventional one and the absolute reality is they share the name. But they're quite different in reality.
So really, in reality, there is no such as intention. I mean, because in reality, intention, it means thinking process.
No, in reality,
so just thinking, it's
is,
just yeah. Sorry, you
the
first.
reality of intention is a mental factor that accompanies every moment of consciousness.
Right.
The conventional idea of intention is wanting or intending to do something.
Yes, because in real life, when you want to do something, if you have intention, it seems like you achieve. If you set the intention, so you can achieve your target. But if you don't set it, yes.
Well, that's the conventional idea. If you set an intention, then you're more likely to achieve the target. And that is a conventional truth, I suppose we could say. But as we know, the way things pan out is not according to how one plans, but according to many other conditions in reality.
When you say in real life, what we take for being in real life, shopping, eating, intending to go this way or that way, making an effort to do this or that, is actually a fantasy life full of the idea of I, that I can do, I can make things happen. It's a world of stories about different situations and different scenarios. The real life are the absolute realities, the citas, the seekers, and rupas arising and falling away. This is the real life, not what we take for being the real life conventionally.
Yes.
So the intention in what you call the real life in the conventional world is just thinking about different situations and different plans and different ideas of what I can do. But what the Buddha taught as the real life are just different citas and cetasicas falling away. And Chaitana is one of those cetasicas that arises with every citta at every moment in life and falls away instantly. Nothing to do with a story or a situation or anything that I can do.
So anyone, whether they've heard the Dhamma or not, can know, well, I'm intending to do this, or I have strong intention to do that, or I'm making an effort to do something such and such. They don't have to hear the Dhamma to know that that is their mental consciousness at the time. But that is nothing to do with understanding a characteristic of a reality that is now arising.
And what you'll learn more and more is when you read and consider about the conditions that at each moment of life, each chitta, each cetasika, each rupa arises dependent on different conditions. So the cetana now at a moment of seeing is the result of karma, different from the cetana which arises at a moment of attachment or a moment of kindness, which is accumulated from moment to moment. So different intentions, different cetanas arising by different conditions, depending on whether they are kusala, akusala, vipaka, or kiriya intention. But no self and no situation at all.
And
Yes,
I think
thank you.
some people may have the idea that if my present intention is kusala or wholesome, then that's okay. And if my present intention for what I'm doing is unwholesome, then that's not okay. But really, that is not thinking about what one's present intention is as one is doing something is not going to be any indicator of whether the citta is kusala or not. Kusala and akusala is a fact of the citta rather than something to do with whether we think our intention is a good one.
Thank you, John. Yep.
Is there intentional?
There's
See,
no, at the moment, no. Not that I'm aware of.
at all. Can they be speaking without any intention to speak? Can it be moment without intention and this only just speaking?
Speaking, I think must, I'm saying no I in here, but thinking is, speaking, yes, has intention in it.
What people do not know is that whatever is conditioned to arise and keep on going must be not known at all without studying or hearing about what it is from the very beginning. That's why we use the word intention. Does it mean that we know that there is intention?
Right,
We talk about it, right?
right, yep.
But no understanding of the truth of it. Just having intention to ask or to talk or to think about this and that. But it's there already and we are looking for it, not understanding that each moment is there. Because it's just daily life. At moment of opening one's eyes, is there no intention to open? They are all there unknown. That's why what is meant by enlightenment is understanding what is there as it is. Which
So I can like go, like taking a shower or going to the toilet. There is also intention, but it sounds like chanda, isn't it?
That's why it's that I who am trying to know intention, but to understand what is intention. See, otherwise we just talk about it. But what about the understanding of it? Understanding of what we take for intention or something all the time. What is the truth of each one as it is? It is different ones. That's why when we have intention to talk, intention to think, intention to open one's eyes, intention to move, no understanding of that which is there. So that is not enlightened the truth of that very moment. So when we heard about enlighten the truth in life, what does it mean? It's the moment of understanding what is there as it is, which is not known before at all. For example, each moment there must be intention, see? But we think about intention to do this and then to do that because not understand the truth of it. That's why without enlightenment, and what does it mean? To enlighten the truth, the whole truth, the truth, the absolute truth of what is there as it is. So now we're talking about the absolute moment, the absolute reality, which is there to understand. Because life exists only just in a moment. When there's no understanding of anything at all, it is no understanding of what is there in life. The whole life passed on from life to life without any understanding. And it is very, very difficult to understand the truth because it is so very short. No one can imagine how short it is. It's gone already. No matter the intention of what is there, just very short and then gone. That's why it takes quite a long time to understand what is the truth of this moment, because this moment is a moment in life. See, without it, there is no life from moment to moment. That's why what are there? Unknown. And when there is the one who enlightened the truth and taught about it, we listen to understand whether it's true or not, because it's now ready to be known. When heard more about it, considered more about it, about what is there, because there is intention right now, each moment. When there is any moment of experiencing anything, there must be intention arising together, unknown, because the levels of intention is different. Intention just to open one's eyes, intention just to do good deeds, intention just to speak about this and that. See, so many different moments, so many different intentions just arising before itself to just work on or to perform the function of just intent to do this or that. Otherwise, that cannot be done at all. That's why the truth of this moment is very, very subtle, but it can be gradually developed. For what? To understand the truth, that's all. And this is quite different from living without any understanding of what is there now, and living with beginning to understand the truth as not self or anyone at all. Because as soon as whatever appears, there is attachment, because not seeing the truth that it's gone instantly, but cling to this appearing what is there as it is, because of the succession of what is there so very, very quickly. That's why no one knows that this moment of its arising and falling away differently from moment to moment. And there must be intention at each moment, because no one there, no one can condition intention to intend to do this or that. It's there already by conditions. That's why learn to understand conditions of everything, to have more confidence of whatever is now is not self or anything at all. It's gone instantly, completely. Just implant the truth to understand the truth little by little. So no matter what we heard about intention, it's real. It's a reality. It's different from other reality because it has the characteristic of intending to do something and perform such function just to intend to do or to whatever is there. And the other reality cannot perform this function at all. It is the function of that, only that which is there, while the other which arise together have different characteristics, different functions, and each one performs its function unknowingly, like now, right now. Unknown. That's right. Learn to understand what is intention. Is it real? Is it I? Is it only moment of intending to do something, just get up or walk or stretch one hand or to do work or to cook and so on? But it's much more than that, not just that. Even a moment of a reality which arises and experience an object, there is a condition for that moment to arise, and one is intention. See, this is the way to understand the truth of what is there now. What we are talking about cannot be understood, cannot be directly experienced, but little by little, and listening to the truth more, to let go the idea of self, because it is accumulated quite a long time, uncountable. No one can imagine how long. That's why it's so very deep and very strong to take whatever is there as something instantly. The truth is covered up the whole life, from life to life. What are there? Even intention is there, unknown. That's why one has to understand the point of why we talk about it. Is it there? Is it real? What is it? Can it be taken for anything permanent, to be I or he or she or whatever is there as life, living being? Not at all. It's gone. Everything is gone. This is to be implanted so very firmly to understand the truth, no matter when it's there. Right understanding which has been accumulated is strong enough to condition understanding of that. Because we have heard about hardness, we have heard about seeing, we have heard about hearing, we have heard about many things now, but it's not time yet to understand directly the characteristic of that which is now appearing as it's heard and developed, right understanding, to understand the truth of it. So just live to understand the truth, that's all. Otherwise, there must be the idea of I have intention to do this and that. But everything that's gone completely. Is that true? When it's true, develop understanding on and on, hearing, considering, letting go the idea of I would do something to understand it. But it's there by conditions. That's why when people keep on thinking, how can I live when I know that there is no I? Everyone lives before knowing that there's no I, by conditions. So after understanding what is there as it is, life keeps on going as usual by conditions. And without understanding conditions, how can there be the eliminating of the idea of self? Impossible. That's why right understanding develops on and on and on, little by little, so naturally that it is now developing at moment of understanding only. So is there intention to have?
Ajahn, I understand you explaining about the intention to do the good deed. But when you mention intention, when you open the eye, there's intention there. I'm a bit confused. That because if I'm thinking intention in terms of thinking, so there's a thinking before opening the eye. But that I got mixed up that with the function of the chanda, Chitasika chanda. Yeah. I thought that was the function of the chanda rather than the, yes.
What is intention?
You mean the Chetana?
The name or the reality? What about if we don't use this word? It doesn't mean that. We can understand intention when we use the term Chetana. It's not like that. It's the word remembered, what to be used for, what we are talking about. But what is the truth, the nature of it, the reality as no one and no thing, but it's there it's conditioned to arise. And there are many conditions that we learn little by little to understand the truth, to have less clinging to the idea of self. Now I am listening to intention and so on. It's not like that. Just talk about the absolute truth of whatever is there now in order to realize the truth, to have more confidence of the truth, which is not self at all. Whatever is there by conditions. So the first thing to understand what is there in truth is that it's there by conditions, but no understanding of each condition for its arising yet or enough. But there must be conditions for whatever arises for sure. For example, seeing right now without the eye base, they cannot be seeing. Without that which impinge on it, what can be seen? See, just talk about each moment as it is and what is there, just to understand. And understanding is no one at all. It's that which arises to understand. Stage by stage, little by little, to be able to enlighten the truth, which is now very deep now, arising and falling away, as it is, by conditions. Letting go the idea of self, no burden of trying so hard to do anything, but understand the difference between right understanding and no understanding and wrong understanding. They are true because they are different realities. Because everyone knows moment of not understanding anything at all and moment when have wrong understanding of it. See, stage by stage, little by little, each word, like Sila Patapramasa, it is upadana, see, how strong it is. So it doesn't change its idea about things which it clings and take it for something, not just now, but for many, many lives before, eons and eons. So how can there be without it? Only the moment of understanding what is there can eliminate the wrong understanding and ignorance about it and clinging to that idea. See, this is life, very natural life. No one has to do anything at all because actually there's no one. But in one's life, is there any right understanding of the truth or no understanding of the truth at all? That's all. Even about intention, it's not I who listen to intention to be understood, but to understand the truth that even now it is there unknown and it cannot be known if no one told us about this. It's that each moment in life, even at moment of sleep, see, who knows, but consider the truth. What is there from moment to moment to let go the idea of self very gradually, very unknowingly at moment of understanding only. So how many moments in life from the moment waking up to now, is there any understanding of what is there? Why not? No conditions. See, learning just to listen, I may say happily about no one and nothing at all. It's there by conditions. But the clinging condition moment different from that because it clings. It doesn't know the truth. It doesn't know that even right now it's gone. Whatever is there, it's not there anymore. See? Just keep on understanding. That's all. No disturb, just understanding. Life go on as usual, very present from the sense awareness and thinking by conditions, only understanding it. Whatever is there is by conditions. Only that. No one can change from moment to moment for what we take for anyone because there are conditions ready to condition that moment And why we say ready, it's there already. If it's not ready to condition such moment, there cannot be such moment at all, no matter what it is. Is there intention right now? When we talk about anything, there can be moment of considering the truth. It's not just at moment of hearing, but even after that, is there any thinking about that which is talked about? It's there any moment, see, performing its function according to its chati, born to be or arise to be, kusala, wholesome or unwholesome, or result of the deeds, and that which is not either a result or cause, but it's conditioned, see. So all depends on conditions. Even it's not the cause or the result, but it's there by conditions. No one there at all. This is a truth that Panya can realize the truth when it's enough to condition moment of understanding what is there in daily life unexpectedly, but very gradually from the moment when it's so weak, but it's there, not as before, which hasn't conditioned for it to be there at all. Little by little, very natural. If it's not, it's wrong. And that what one is doing is sila pata pramasa. And when it's so very strong, it's clinging. Never let it go. Wrong understanding.
Thank you, Ajahn. Very good. Yeah. Thank you.
And
It's
if I
great
could
to
just
know that.
add briefly that before we heard the Dhamma, the only idea we had of intention was the conventional one. And that is as a sort of a mental factor or way of thinking that is necessary in some circumstances, but not others. But what Ajahn has been explaining is that in the Dhamma, intention is there all the time, even when one is speaking like I am now, or one is brushing one's teeth, or one is blinking one's eyes. Every moment of consciousness has intention with it. So obviously, it's a different reality to the conventional one, which is only something that is occasionally needed. Otherwise, the rest of the day, one is going around and doesn't need intention, for example, to speak or to blink one's eyes. So that's the point to keep in mind. And as Ajahn says, it's unknown. It doesn't appear, this absolute reality kind of intention. So if I understand Ajahn correctly, she's not saying we should start looking to see that reality. What she's saying is we just need to consider that the reality of intention is something, a mental factor that is present with every moment of consciousness, whether there is conventional intending or not. And like the other mental factors, they may or may not appear, and it doesn't matter if they don't, because one is developing the understanding of the awareness and understanding of whatever reality is appearing at the present moment. But having a better a theoretical understanding of how things work can be a condition for awareness and understanding to arise and take whatever object it will at some stage.
John, having said that, so intention is one of the 7 universal Chittasika. Is that right?
That's correct.
So all the way go together with the Chitta, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
So even the citta that sees, which is a result of Vipaka citta, intention is present with that too.
And that's why when Ajahn said, is there intention at the moment of speaking? Yes. Is there intention at the moment of seeing? Yes. Is there intention at the moment of listening right now? Yes. At every moment of life, the answer is yes, because it's a universal Cetasika arising with every citta at every moment. And if there is the intention to find intention, or an intention to make a decision with the idea that I can make a decision, this is the wrong practice and shows a strong clinging at those moments.
Thank you. This is fascinating.
Not
Yes.
the understanding of intention that is conditioned in different ways at different moments.
Thank
So
you, Sarah.
we learn no one can make a decision or a choice or haven't make an opinion or decide this or that, because every reality in life is conditioned. So what is taken in real life is just a fantasy, not the truth about Chaitanya or any other reality at this moment, which is conditioned.
And I think that everyone is so very familiar with the word karma, see. But do we really understand the meaning of it, the meaning and the nature of it? Just talk about that. It seems like as one has known it, but actually there is the idea of I. So it's not the understanding of the truth of what is there as not I as it is. That's why there should be the understanding of what is meant by Dhamma. What is there as not self is there by condition. It arises and falls away instantly, and only one object can be known in a moment, not everything there yet. That's why it has to be just one by one, little by little. So what is really karma? So it is intention, the reality, which intends, it has its own function, but it can perform different aspects by different being at moment when it arises as kusala or akusala as a cause, and the result, vipaka. That's why cetana can be kusala cetana, can be akusala cetana, kusala kamma and akusala kamma, and vipaka cetana, because it's conditioned to perform its function with its citta by such and such karma, with conditions such and such different citta. See, so karma, the deeds that has been done, kusala and akusala, condition the result, vipaka, which arises to experience through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. These are the result of karma, because just born to be, born to hear, born to listen, born to smell, and so on, just very ordinary, no one there at all, just the reality which is conditioned to arise to experience. And that's why we have to understand not just the word karma, what is it? And there can be the cetana, which is which perform the function of wholesome and unwholesome, or vipaka or kiriya. As it is, no one at all. That's why just learn that cetana is karma is not enough. By way of paccaya, it is karma paccaya. So we learn to understand the paccaya from one thing to another, from one paccaya to another one, in order to have more confidence of what is there is by paccaya. Even killing a kusala karma, there must be conditions for it by other paccaya. See, that's why just listen to the word, one word, paccaya is not enough. It has to be the understanding of what is there from the very beginning and about other things too. Because seeing, what is it? Is it karma paccaya? See, careful studying to understand. Otherwise, there must be wrong understanding. Is seeing karma paccaya? See, and so on. Even there is Chetana, and Chetana must be Kamma Paccaya, but it performs the function of just arising to see by conditions, by the previous Kamma which has been done. When it's time to condition such moment of seeing, it sees that which is unexpectedly seen at all, and so on. This is the complex of what is there in life, unknown from life to life, more and more and more ignorance. That's why learn to understand the truth, not try to do anything in order to understand it, because it's impossible to do anything to understand the truth of this moment. That's why just understand what is there, one word at a time, clearer, so that there can be no doubt about what Buddha taught about it. It's so true, but the moment of realizing has to be by the intellectual understanding strong enough, because now it's working to the way to understand the truth. But it's quite a long, long way comparing to what has been accumulated years and years. That has to be all gone completely, absolutely, never to arise again. Otherwise, it's useless just to listen and understand. So what the point? One day that this truth can be realized. And that is different from intellectual understanding and the higher development of understanding gradually, little by little. But it has to be very usual as now, as daily life, very common, because it's by conditions already. So now I think that no matter what we are talking about, intention, a reality, it is a paccaya, and we have heard a lot about kamma. So kamma is paccaya, and it arises by conditions, many conditions too. For example, without the previous deeds, there cannot be the kamma, the chetana, which arise with seeing or hearing and so forth. Little by little, just understand the truth. That's all. So when there's very strong attachment or anger is there, right understanding can understand and let go, because knowing that it's conditioned, it's the reality which is conditioned and gone completely. Why worry about it? So Panya doesn't bring about any unwholesome moment or unpleasant thing at all. So everyone knows it's that Chetana right now, whether it is wholesome, kusala kamma, or akusala kamma, or just vipaka or kiriya. Theoretically, until it's there. The real one is there to be known when it's the object of experiencing. No doubt about Chetana at this very moment. It's there unknown because it's not the object directly yet. But what about in a day? Sometimes there is intention to go shopping, intention to turn on television. That can be known because it's there. But the idea self is there. Covers up everything. Not appearing as it is not self, but actually no one there at all. Because Chetana is Chetana. Who can condition Chetana to arise? And who can stop Chetana not to arise? Impossible. And then there can be more understanding of what is meant by Dhamma. No one.
This explanation is very good for my opening. Ajahn, thank you.
So true, because it's the words of the Buddha.
And it's always about now, tam, so intention now, that which is to be understood now. But it depends on how one hears it, whether it's understood as Dhamma or understood as someone who can do something or someone who has intention. But actually, whatever we read about different conditions and conditioned realities are about the Dhammas, the realities of life right now.
And Ajahn, a moment ago you said that when there is the intending to get up and turn on the television or something like that, that can be known. Would you just explain also, please, known as what? Because you said the idea of, general idea of
Who want
self-esteem.
to turn on the radio or the television, but from hearing, and there can be more conditions for beginning to learn to think about it in terms of it's just that which intends, see? Because you see that when there is direct understanding of what is there, no word at all, but the characteristic which is now there can be known little by little when it's there. No intention at all to try so hard to understand intention. That's why when there's full of ignorance and clinging to whatever is there, it conditions more thought about it, worry about it, trying to find out. But when it's less clinging and understanding better, it's the moment of life is so very as easy as it is, as usual. But some moment, there can be moment of just beginning to think about it. Even thinking is not conditioned usually in a day about Dhamma. It's about conventional things all the time. That's why this is the difference between understanding the characteristic of that, but it's not clear as not I yet. But the characteristic begins to appear, like intention to do this. See, I intend to read Tipitaka, I intend to put it on the table, I intended to put on my glasses and so on. See, so very natural, pass on very instantly, but it can be moment of what is there beginning to show up, very little, but not clear at all, but it's there. So the understanding knows that until it's the object of right understanding with right or direct awareness of it, not of other object at all. Because now we're talking about realities, they arise and fall away very rapidly. They cannot be known at all right now. But we are talking about this just to begin to understand it, that it's there to be known, but depend on conditions, whether it is known or not known yet. But the way it is known has to be gradually developed too, not thinking about it at all in a day and beginning. Sometimes no one knows what one is thinking about at moment of touching or at moment of such and such circumstances or situation. It is so very surprisingly and unexpectedly all the time. That's why we heard about pop-up in Tipitaka. It pop-ups unknown, and when it pop-up, it's known, say different one. But the reality is just exactly the same. So all depends on understanding only, how much understanding, so that how much it is letting go. that which is clinging to the idea of self or things as before, in order to know that not only this life, no matter what life before or ahead, realities are realities, only conditioned to arise and then never to return at all. How much understanding of this develop to the degree that it can just see the danger of life. But it's not like when it appears at Vipassana Jnana. That's why the clearness of reality depends on conditions and the moment when it's there by different levels of understanding. That's all. So it is just like we have heard, but it doesn't appear as that yet because of understanding is not enough. So when understanding is enough, it is just like different from moment of trying to know it, want to develop it, going somewhere, sitting alone or something like that. That is sila kata pramasa because of wrong understanding. So it conditions such wrong, what we call practice. But actually what is meant by bhavana in Pali is the development of understanding, not to do anything because there's no one, but for right understanding. It hasn't arisen yet when there's no hearing about the truth. But when it begins to arise and develop on and on, it understands what is there as it is. Because now we are talking about what is there as it is, to be known as it is, as no one and no thing. So this is the point, not to learn about the aspects of different things by way of Dhamma, by way of Paccaya, and by way of that. But what about now? So the point of listening is to understand the truth. It cannot be self or anything permanent at all. Until then, it develops little by little. So it conditions moment of direct understanding because direct awareness arises of an object by conditions. It can be that which is seen now, or hearing now, or hardness now, or anything. And when it's there, only one is clearer than when it's there now. The beginning of knowing the difference between moment with direct awareness and not direct awareness yet. That's all. Just very common, very ordinary, very natural, because they are Dhamma as usual. Each one cannot be changed from the way it is to be different. Like Sanya marks and remembers each word, each object which is experienced non-stop, but it's not the same one because only once in samsara, arisen and fallen away, never to return again. Hearing on and on and on and on. That's why when we talk about Dhamma, we just talk about the absolute truth to understand that no matter what is heard, is to understand what is there now. Otherwise, if we don't talk about sanya, that which now marks and remembers, who knows that it's there to be known? Otherwise, it is the object of clinging. So wrong understanding is there. Misunderstanding the truth of our five khandhas. And when we use khandha, what is meant now, which is there and then gone, and then gone, see, and then gone. To develop the understanding of the truth of no self, no matter what is heard. But people think that they should experience a very strange happening. What for? No understanding. Craving is there. Wrong understanding, wrong practice. That's why each word should be understood as it is, to let go the idea of self or thing from what is being taken for self or thing. Eons and eons ago. That's why it's so natural. Just it's time to talk, to share the thought about Dhamma, different ones, from time to time. And it's just like holding the knife's handle. See, who knows now how much it has worn away.
Jan, you're just saying that each word we hear or consider or read about is for letting go of the idea of self, and it's for understanding the truth at this moment. You often used to say that whatever is read should be read in the light of Satipatthana. So whatever is read is for understanding more and more and more until it is the direct understanding of what appears.
Because
So,
it can be understood, but not now.
yes,
And if we don't
and it has to develop on and on.
be conditioned for.
But whatever the Buddha spoke was for the purpose of understanding the truth, for the development of understanding of dhammas as anatta, intellectually and then directly.
So it's
And this is
confidence about this moment that it can be directly experienced. But it has to be with the highly developed panya. Because now everyone knows that it's gone. See, arising and falling away. But that is not clear. But the truth is so clear until it's the moment when it's there. Understanding more and more, better and better, to let go what is there. And that is conditioned for no clinging to that as before, because of the understanding of that is not there anymore. Little by little. So what moment is better than this moment of understanding? See, it has to be the understanding in this life, which is the moment being possible to have time to hear, to consider, to understand a little more.
Yes, it's why it has to be the firmer and firmer understanding, and the understanding which understands more and more clearly. Just the wise considering is not enough. It has to develop until it is the direct understanding. And that's the purpose of the teachings, for the understanding directly of what appears now.
Sarah, can't we just say it's for all three levels, pariyati, patipati, pativeda, depends on the audience's level of understanding.
But whatever the Buddha taught, it is for the purpose of understanding directly, even though it has to begin with the intellectual right understanding, which has to develop. But the aim of the teaching is for the development of the path.
But you could then go on and say that it's for enlightenment. It's for pativeda.
Right. It is. That's the purpose, for the eradication of defilements. And we can say it's for the purpose of ending life in samsara. So
Right.
that's the purpose of the teachings. But the understanding has to begin gradually, but it has to begin with the wise considering that there are just dhammas and that the dhammas are anatta. So whatever the Buddha said is for this purpose. Kajan just said each word is for the letting go of the idea of self, but it has to develop. If there hasn't been the considering and reflection, or like now chatting to Tam about beginning to understand about Chaitana is conditioned at each moment, then the understanding cannot develop. Little by little. And so it just depends on the listener how much is understood at any time, whether it's a little wise considering or direct understanding or no understanding. Like last week, I think Ajahn used the example of anger. We could talk about anger, but someone may take it as my anger or someone else's anger. And the same with Chaitana or any reality. So the purpose is for the understanding of dharmas as anatta, but it depends on the listener how it's taken.
Sarah, it's like at one moment there are so many conditions to be known. So in order to have the direct understanding, all those conditions need to be understood well in one moment.
If there's the idea of trying to understand all the conditions in a moment or trying to work out the conditions, that would be an example of what Ajahn was talking about, the sila bhatta paramasa, the wrong practice or the wrong understanding, because it's the idea of I working it out in order to understand conditions or in order to understand dharmas as anatta, instead of just letting the understanding develop little by little through the wise consideration and the wise reflection, not by setting a rule of something I must do.
But there seems so many conditions to be understood at one moment.
So that's
naturally.
That's why there has to be the considering a little at a time, one condition, one word at a time, like karma paccaya now. What is karma paccaya now? At the moment of seeing is the karma paccaya. At the moment of kusala or akusala is the karma paccaya. What is karma paccaya? So there has to be the considering of what it is at this very moment. Like when one understands that Chaitana is karma, so there has to be karma paccaya at every moment. But at the moment of seeing, the Chaitana is karma paccaya just to coordinate the seeing and the other Chaitasikas, different from the aspect or the function it has at a moment of kusala or akusala, when it has the function to also prompt the chitta and other Chaitasikas in a kusala or akusala way that can lead to speech and deeds that can bring results later. So each paccaya is intricate and has to be considered carefully how it applies at this moment. Like at the moment of speaking or listening, at each kusala or akusala moment, there are different routes. Like at a moment of thinking in an unwholesome way, there must be the root of ignorance at that moment, and often clinging at that moment as well, but sometimes dosa at a different moment. So these are unwholesome roots, the opposite of the wholesome roots of non-attachment, non-aversion, and understanding if it arises. So just considering one paccaya at a time carefully and how it applies to this moment begins to help one understand how the realities now are anatta, not in anyone's control. The lobha that arises now is because of that unwholesome root that conditions it to arise and conditions the other Cheta seekers and Cheta to be akusala at that very moment.
Thank you.
But it's not a matter of learning and memorizing all the conditions in order to understand the conditioned nature of reality. Not at all.
And as you were saying, not only are there many conditions to be understood, but there are many different conditions for the one moment of consciousness. So it'd actually be impossible for anyone to have that level of understanding that only a Buddha can have. And I think the same applies when we are considering things like the number of different chittas, or all the various 52 jetasikas, or all the 28 rupas. When we read about these things, this information is not to be taken as something that has to be known directly, every bit of it. So we should be careful about keeping in mind that only what appears can be directly understood, or the object of some understanding. And that understanding itself, if it is conditioned to arise, takes its object, not what we think is in need of being understood. So it's not as complicated as you're suggesting.
And I think that when there is the understanding, the purpose of studying, the teaching about the truth of whatever is now, it can condition the letting go of the idea of self. Otherwise, when it's not wisely considering, it can be the I who know, because all five khandas, the Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, Vijnana Khanda, are there now, clinging until it appears as the object so that it can be known of each as not self. For example, Sanya right now is not known yet. It's not time. But why do we listen again and again to understand what is there until it's time to directly experience the truth? That's why when we talk about conditions or paccaya, it seems that it's doubt. How can there be the understanding of paccaya at such and such moment? It's not that at all, because right understanding and the other factors like the anicca sanya and dukkha sanya and so on, it's not there yet. But the understanding now, developing the moment of understanding the truth of a reality as the object which arises and falls away. No thought about what paccaya are there, how many paccayas are there, not like that. But the understanding develop until it's the moment of enlighten or experience the truth of reality right now, stage by stage. Because otherwise, how can it reach that stage? It's quite very deep down. And how can it just develop higher and higher to understand the truth, which is now as it is? That's why learning about how, no matter how many paccaya, just to understand, not try to know that, oh, at that moment it is this paccaya or that paccaya at all. But whatever is learned now is underlined to develop the moment of understanding. So understanding is there, but it's not the understanding of what name or what is that paccaya and paccaya, but all understanding of about paccaya is there. Condition the moment of understanding clearly of that which appears. So now we just learn to understand that how to let go the idea of self from seeing without understanding Pajya, it's impossible. And when there is the understanding of Pajya, it's not direct understanding yet. So how come to be moment of understanding directly, as we have heard, only when time comes, knowing about Pajya, knowing about Potipakaya, knowing anything there, to condition it little by little until it's enough and ready to be just moment of understanding the truth of that. No thought about how many Pajya. See, even the second Vipassana Jnana, it's not the moment of thinking about Pajya, it's the understanding Pajya enough to experience about the truth of it when it's there appearing. See, but no word at all. For example, right now, there is the understanding that hearing is conditioned. Whatever is there must be conditioned. Otherwise, it cannot arise. So it cannot appear when it does not arise. But we are not just talking about one reality. And when there is the understanding of that characteristic of a reality, it can be the understanding of anything which is the same. For example, that which experiences an object, see. So it can be at moment of understanding, seeing right now, the understanding of that which experiences an object. So the other moment, experiencing sound, the understanding of that which experiences develop to that it can understand, no matter what, when it arises and experience as it is, little by little. This is the way to develop from the understanding from none at all, when there's no hearing about it, and then begin to understand it and develop on, and right understanding, letting go clinging. But it's so very, very difficult because lots and very deep and very strong clinging is there all the time until Panya works itself little by little just to develop the understanding of what is there now as a self. So it's so true how much understanding of what is there now, just one object. Now, it's not the object of understanding. It's not the object of the Buddhas and those who develop Satipatthana at all. Until right understanding is there, the same object, which is the object of ignorance and attachment, becomes to be known little by little as it's just that. It's just that. How long will it take to really understand that and to condition the moment when Panya is there, experience the truth of it? See, how long? But it doesn't matter comparing to how long it hasn't been known yet until then and up to now, from then up to now. See, that's why it's just understanding the truth and understand the moment of understanding and understand whatever taught by the Buddha to condition the understanding of the truth, because only one moment of experiencing the truth has to be conditioned by many, many firm intellectual understanding and letting go enough. So this is the very subtle path because it is the last of the Four Noble Truths. But when it leads to the understanding of the first, the second, and the third. But it has to be only this way. Understand whatever is there, not just read and think about it and remember it. That's not enough. But to understand, because the understanding of no one is implanted little by little, strong enough to understand the point of listening, just to understand the truth from hearing, considering, experiencing, until it's his moment of realizing the truth, because the truth opened up, shows the truth as it is, one at a time. Otherwise, it cannot be clear. That's why no matter we talk about what kind of pajya, just to develop the understanding, for panya to develop little by little. but not to know when it's there, what paccaya is there. That is not understanding. It is I thinking again, remembering again about the word. And this is why all dhammas are so very subtle, but it can be known. With patience, Khanti Barami, Viriya Barami, Satya Barami, Nekama Barami, Adhidana Barami, Dana Barami, Sila Barami in daily life are conditioned by more understanding, but depending on accumulation too. To understand that actually there's no one who can force oneself to be such and such, but to let go, even the thought of doing this or that, to condition right understanding is impossible. But moment of hearing and considering right now is conditioned for understanding. What is there? Little by little. So natural, who knows? Great patience, so great. Barami.
Thank you, Ajahn. I'm so grateful to hear this.
The word.
So even the book we've recommended to you, Tam, it can all be read with wrong understanding and clinging if it's just the idea of trying to collect the details or remember the different paccayas or know what arises with by what condition.
Trying to find out the meaning of it.
Trying to collect the information, because it's not, the purpose is just for the understanding now, not for I to collect more detail and more information, because that's just clinging and the idea of self again.
Especially, the Pali terms, try to remember it. So when you talk it in Zoom, so I know which one you're mentioning.
So each moment, each chitta, it depends on, the others cannot know. It depends on whether it's clinging at that moment or wise considering. So at any time, reading the text on conditions or during the Dhamma, different moments of clinging and different moments of understanding, and the wrong view and wrong practice can come in any time at all.
But if I don't try to find out the meaning of the terms in Pali, so when I listen to in Zoom, like in the Dhamma discussion, I'm feeling like I'm a duck.
Tam, it's not just what you're saying is correct. I mean, you need to find out the meaning also in order to be able to converse with other people. And sometimes even Ajahn encourages to understand in terms of what the word really means. So it's not always, it's not a rule like every time you try so hard to find out, it's all the time it's wrong, but it depends on the chitta at that time. Sometimes you want to know what the word really means because you're hearing the words of the Buddha and you don't want to misunderstand.
It's not the appearance, but the intention, the chitta at that moment. Like looking at the Pali term, it can be out of lobha or wrong view or wise consideration, understanding. So it's not the situation, it's the reality that is important, like now.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sarah, can I say something?
Please go ahead, Sal.
You just said that when we said I should do and I shouldn't do that, or I should try to work, they have the idea of self. But as I know, but as I know, immediately after seeing, arising and passes away, in the next few processes of consciousness, in Pali term, Citta Vritti, there can be the idea of self. So my question is, do you have any point or commentary to note when we see more emphasize the idea of self in the case when we say we should do or we shouldn't do something?
And that's why when understanding develops, it has to understand more and more the more and more subtle arisings of the idea of self, like I mentioned even now, or even when reading the book, the subtle arising of I, like thinking I should understand this better or listen more, but even much more subtle than that. So wrong practices, even now during the discussions, we talk about the gross wrong practice and wrong idea when people have the idea they must sit or go to a particular center or be in a quiet place. But actually it's now, like you say, as soon as they're seeing or hearing, wrong view and clinging can come in instantly and does. So it has to be, even the very subtle wrong idea of self has to be completely eradicated before the stage of Sotapanna, and then no more even subtle wrong idea or wrong practice or idea of I should do anything. Like even I should make a decision or I plan to do this. So much idea of I, or I that can affect the decision or affect the path, understanding at those moments. But it has to come back to understanding when it arises, when it appears, that's all. So it's not the words, like even a Sotapanna said, oh, I might say I should visit my mother, but no wrong understanding. So it's not the words, but the understanding of the reality when it appears.
Yeah, thank you. I will
Thanks,
consider
Sal.
more about this.
It's good to know how much ignorance, how much attachment, how much wrong view arises and is so common in a day. And all the disturbances are because of this. Like Ajahn said, Panya doesn't disturb, doesn't cause annoyance or anger or worry or irritation or any difficulty. It's the clinging to self that causes all the disturbances, all the problems. And I think it helps one to be a more understanding person, because whatever comes, whatever gain and loss and praise and blame and so on, it's all by conditions. It's not anyone who does anything. No one else can harm or affect one. It's all just the accumulated clinging and ignorance. And this is common to everyone. So it helps to be more understanding of different accumulations and different problems caused by everyone because of such clinging.
And when there is the understanding, there can be more understanding. When there is more wise considering, it develops little by little. For example, listen to the words of the truth, to understand the truth, that there is no self. So at this moment of seeing, without understanding that it's me, can there be the letting go, the idea of self from seeing? But I see is not known as I'm seeing at all. It's there already by conditions. See how deep it is to understand. Each word will lead to understanding the truth of that which appears all day in life, the whole life, night and day. It's there, unknown. That where is the I? See, do we have to say that, oh, now I am seeing? It's there already. Even there's no word, I am seeing. It's I see already. That's why to learn to understand the truth, that usually the idea of self is so very deeply rooted that it covers up everything. After seeing, hearing, always I is there. That's why begin to understand the usefulness, the benefit of what Buddha taught us to understand. Asava, it's there already. So the understanding of the truth of it, very gradually letting go. Because without understanding, it's there all the time, from life to life, eons and eons, I see. That's why to understand the truth, that only the understanding of what is there can lessen or decrease the attachment to the idea of self so very strongly, little by little. That's why who know, only the person who listen to the teaching, how much understanding of seeing, even is heard and develop the idea of no one and no thing. But at moment of seeing, who? No need to say that I see, it's there already. That's why begin to understand the depth and the truth, very, very subtle, of whatever Buddha taught about. So that to understand that the only way is to just understand the truth from hearing and considering until it is so natural, develop uppa, so strong to be nisaya pachya, upanisya pachya. Because of hearing, it conditioned moment of not forgetting. But it doesn't mean that not forgetting is to think about it in words, but develops to understand what is there in life, little by little. It changes from clinging so much into beginning to understand the way life is. So very short, very, very short, just in a moment, that's all. And what is there? See, no understanding at all, and begin to understand what is there as the cause or the result, wholesome or unwholesome. So right understanding can lead to more understanding, to let go. No, I who see, it's not me who see, but not in words, just the way it developed, to letting go little by little, because of understanding the nature of what we say, that which experiences, until it's time, right enough, condition ready for that which experiences show up as it is, nothing, only that which arises, no word, no shape, no form, the experiencing only. That's why more wise considering, it can let go little by little, so very, very little. And right understanding knows that it has to be just like that. Otherwise, the self is there of whatever khanda, no matter it's rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, and vijnana. See, they are to be known. Otherwise, it's there, I. And no one can take it away or stop its arising because it's conditioned. So the strong condition is uppa, nisya pachya. Beginning to understand what we use the word uppa, nisya pachya. Daily life now. Each word can be understood as no self, little by little. And this is the point, the purpose of hearing the teachings, to understand the truth. To let go the idea of I, not to have the idea of I know now, something like that. Quite a long, long way to go, as it is quite a long, long way from the beginning up to now. No, one knows at all. What can be known is this very moment, because it's the same no matter how long ago, of how long will it be in the future. It has to be just like as it is like now.
May I ask a question? So when talking about proximate cause, is Upanishaya Pachaya also implied there, or Sahajata for sure?
Would you like to name it?
Well, I think would like to understand whether Upanishaya Pachaya can also be at the same moment.
Is it just one condition or many conditions for a moment to arise?
Many conditions.
That's right. Is it one condition?
Yes.
Another one, and other one, depending on what can be known. But it doesn't matter at all, knowing the name, but to understand the truth. Who can make it arise? Impossible. Who can change when it's there already? Impossible. All depends on just a moment, very shortly, and then gone. So the understanding should be to understand the truth that no matter what is there, by what conditions, it's not self or anything permanent at all. Otherwise, it's permanent. I can know it, so it keep on going, thinking about this and that. But to understand, even just no matter how many conditions, there can be the understanding little by little. What for? To develop the understanding, to let go, just to let go the idea of self. So we can talk a lot about what is said in Tipitaka, the teachings of the Buddha, the Sariputta and Ananda and everyone else. We can read about it. We can understand the word, the meaning. But what about now? Where are they? Even Jakupasatha, what Pachaya is there? Can it be Aramana Pachaya? See, understanding, but who understand? The 5 or the 4 Namakhandas are there. Gone instantly, unknown, and never be known without understanding that actually it's only a reality one at a time appearing to be object of ignorance or of understanding in daily life or by conditions. And learn to understand condition is better than remember all the conditions. Why people are different? See, the answer is Prakatu Panisya Pachaya, because there must be Pachaya. And what Pachaya makes them different? Because the experiences in a day, different moments, different conditions, much of very strong lopa, of very subtle one, conditioned differently for different moments. That's all. And there must be Sahajata Pachaya for all namas. They arise together, experience the same object, but perform different functions. So what are there now? Each one, see, can be studied to let go the idea of self, not just try to understand when it's there, what Pachaya is there. But that is not letting go the idea of self. So when we talk about any Pachaya, understand what is there as what Pachaya, just to understand, that's all. Why? To understand that actually no one can do anything, because actually there's no one. There are different realities. until it's there, known as no one. Otherwise, there cannot be reaching or attaining the enlightenment, the absolute truth, because one just walk along with interested of what is there on the path instead of go straight to understand the truth.
Ajahn,
Yes.
can I ask you about Pakatupanisaya Pachaya? You explained about Upa, about being strong. So it needs to be strong to be Upanisaya Pachaya. And this also applies to the conditioned Dhamma, I think, because of the conditioned Dhamma, which is conditioned by Pakatupanisaya Pachaya, is also has to be. Is it a question? Is the Pachayupana of Pakatupanisaya Pachaya? Is it? Does it have to be Upa? Does it have to be strong, like the conditioning Dhamma, which needs to be strong? So does it also the Pachayupana needs to be strong as well? Like when we say maybe attachment conditions, kusala conditions, akusala, by way of Pakatupanisaya Pachaya. Otherwise, it would seem like anything can condition anything out of the blue without without accumulations. Can you talk about the condition, the Pachayupana of Panisaya Pachaya, please? Thank you, Ajahn.
I think that in order to understand what word we use, there should be the understanding from the very beginning as what it is. When we talk about Pachaya, it means that which can condition or support whatever to arise, right? Directly or indirectly. But still, it is one that cannot be missed. Otherwise, that which is the result cannot arise at all. Do we agree about this point? What is Pachaya? That's why for something, it does not need such reality as Pachaya. But for some, it needs that. Without it, it cannot be conditioned or it cannot arise at all. That is what we mean by Pachaya. Or what is it? What is Pachaya? To understand from the very beginning, to understand each word of each Pachaya. So, what is a Pachaya?
Any reality can be Pachaya. Any if it is
there cannot be such object, right?
Right.
So it's that one to be Pachaya for the arising of that particular one reality, right? For example, Chitta is that which experiences. It has to arise. But what condition that reality to arise? So that which condition the arising of that is Pachaya, right?
Yes.
So different realities has its characteristic, which is different to condition or not to condition such and such. For example, the eye base It's not the Pachya for seeing, right? But at moment of hearing, there cannot be hearing without ear base, right? So we talk about the Pachya, which conditions such reality which is there to arise. And it has a reason. Without one Pachya for its arising, it cannot arise. Is that right? That's the meaning of what we call Pachya. It has to be there. Condition such what is there as it is to arise. That is why there is Pachya and Pachupapanna. See, and that which that's not there is not there at all. So when we talk about a reality, is it Pachya or is it Pachupanna? Pachayupanna.
Yeah, it's both. Can be both, Pachaya and Pachayupanna.
And that is Pakatupa Nisaya Pachya. See, begin to understand the nature of that reality, that it can condition such and such Pachayupanna. No matter what, it has the characteristic to condition the Pachayupanna, something there because it's there, or because it conditions such and such thing. But by different conditions, not only Pakatupa Nisya Pachaya, but Pakatupa is the nature of that reality, can condition such and such Pachayupanna, its result. Is it right for Pakatupa Nisya Pachaya? Pakata, ordinary nature of it.
Right.
So whatever is there, can it not be Pakatupa Nisya Pachaya? No matter it's Rupa or Nama.
So it's it must be Pakatupanisaya, yes.
That's why when we read about how many kinds of Pakatupanisya, it's all daily life and everything is there. It doesn't miss any reality at all, depending on the Pachayupanna, what is the direct one and indirect one. As Pachaya. Can Rupa be Pakatupanisya Pachaya?
No.
Rupa?
Yes. Any reality can be
Oh yeah.
Pakatu Upanishya Pachya, but only the Kusala or Akusala cheetahs now can be the Pachupana. Rupa cannot be the result of Pakatu Upanishya Pachya, but any reality is Pakatu Upanishya Pachya.
That's why we learn to understand the nature of reality. Even it is Rupa, but it conditions the other reality as well, according to its nature. For example, the eye base, the Rupa, it cannot experience. It's there by karma. And then why it's there? It doesn't know that it's there. And what for? Because it's Rupa. But it is conditioned for seeing to arise. See? So it's Pachya. So is it not Pakatupanisya? Pachya by its nature? Pakatupa. See? As it is. So everything is Pakatupanisya Pachya according to the result, which one condition what. And study Pakatupanisya Pachya, it includes everything, right? because every reality is pakatu panisya patya by its own nature. That's right. Even seeing right now, is it not by pakatu panisya patya? Conditioned by karma, and what karma? That which is ready to condition. Why it's ready? By pakatu panisya patya, nature of the combination of what is there from life to life. It's time to condition moment of seeing right now. No doubt about pakatu panisya patya, whatever is there. When we find out or understand better and better, we can understand what condition what. Can vipaka condition akusla or kusla, see? By what pajya? Again, it's nature, pakatu panisya pajya, accumulated with other conditions, cetasikas, together. So when there's stuff, we can consult or look on the Tipitaka and commentaries. Hearing the word, consider it means its meaning, study it, and consult with what Buddha said. Even Sariputta Mokkhanana went to see him to hear what he said about this and that. It sounds like very simple, but actually it's very deep. So we have to understand what pakatu panisya is and what are pakatu panisya patya, everything which has its characteristic to be pakata, pakati, natural, as it is to be conditioned in such way. For example, the ibis cannot be pakatu panisya patya for hearing. Oh, is that doubt? Look it up. Whether is it pakatu panisya patya, the rupa?
And this kind of thinking about the teachings is the kind of reflection that can condition awareness and understanding, even though it's not necessarily directly related to the arising of awareness and understanding at the present moment. And this is what we sometimes mean when we talk about being too concerned about having awareness and understanding instead of just being an interest, a general interest in having a better understanding of the Buddha's teaching overall, and how it all fit, all the different aspects of it that may or may not seem especially relevant to the arising of awareness and understanding, or things that may be the object of awareness and understanding at the present moment. And as Ajahn was saying, even the great disciples came to the Buddha to ask him for explanation about different aspects of the teaching. And that is the kind of interest that is going to be a condition for the kind of reflection that is one of the factors of the development of understanding.
I think, Tam, for example, the accumulated sati, or the accumulated right concentration, which conditions understanding by pakatu panisya patya, can be the accumulation from the past or right now at this moment, when it conditions the panya to arise with it now as what you mentioned, proximate condition, but not the other kinds of Upanisya Paccaya, the Aravanupanisya Paccaya, which is the object, or the Anantarupanisya, which is the previous citta. But Pakatupanisya Paccaya is such a wide condition, so anything can be conditioned for panya at this very moment.
And rupa, because you mentioned that the kusala and akusala chittas are dhamma that are conditioned by Pakatu Upanisaya Paccaya, like accumulations of understanding lead to more understanding, and accumulations of lobha lead to more lobha. So what about but the vipaka citta can be also conditioned by Pakatu Upanisaya as well. And
Right.
the rupa, I am wondering about that. There can be rupa that are conditioned by Pakatu Upanisaya Paccaya.
Rupa, so just the different namas, the chittas and the cetasikas, that are conditioned by Pakatu Upanisya Paccaya. So the seeing now, which is a result of karma, but without Pakatu Upanisya Paccaya as well, seeing couldn't arise. But the visible object is conditioned by one of the four conditions. Like visible object that's conditioned by temperature is not conditioned by Pakatu Upanisya Paccaya.
But some rupas, like for example, someone who when he is shy or she is shy, will become red, for example. So the rupa that is conditioned by that kind of citta, can it be said to be conditioned by Pakatu Upanisaya Paccaya? Or
The citta is conditioned at that moment. The citta that conditions those rupas, that citta at that moment is conditioned by Pakatu Upanisya Paccaya. And those blushing rupas, they can be Pakatu Upanisya Paccaya for other Paccayapana, for other kinds of cittas to arise. So we can see, Tam, how intricate the different Paccaya, but it's all about life now at this moment.
yes.
But it's such a broad condition, anything, any reality at all, any rupa, any nama can be Pakatu Upanisya Paccaya for this moment of thinking, or kusala or akusala right now, or seeing right now.
It's really very intricate.
Sal, any lobha or ditthi now? Can be any moment, even while thinking about the details or trying to understand, can be lobha and ditthi instantly, different from just understanding what appears.
I have a question, and it's, in what way can rupa be Pakatu Upanisya Paccaya?
Like when it's heat, when it's so hot and one has aversion, it's conditioned for that aversion by Pakatu Upanisya Paccaya, anything, the taste of the food, any rupa.
Right. Yes, that makes sense. Thank you. I agree with Tom. Very intricate indeed. I've read about conditions, but I get lost in it. So I figure that there's no point in stressing out. Just when the conditions are right, I'll read it or understand it.
Or forget it.
Yes,
Cling to it, or depending on conditions at the moment. I think it's a good topic to continue with next week. Perhaps we can talk more
have
about
we reached
conditions.
time? Yeah, okay. Probably a very good topic for next week. But I just have one comment on, like in the Visuddhimagga, I've written down that, the first noble truth is dukkha, and lamentation, sorrow, all of the really unpleasant situations. And I've often thought, why does it focus on that and not on happiness? However, I let that go, and because it does say the first noble truth is dukkha, unsatisfactoriness. And then the second noble truth is craving, and it kind of washed over me for a while. But about a week ago, it really occurred to me: if there is no clinging, craving for anything, how I want things to be, how I want my family to be, whatever, then there is none of those. There is nothing. If there's no craving, then there is nothing. Those situations I've just mentioned would not occur. And so I think it was one of those ha-ha moments that craving causes dukkha. So it's not a question, it's just a little comment that finally it clicked why craving causes sorrow, lamentation, not getting what you want, being separated from what you have, blah, blah, blah. So it was a nice little ha-ha moment.
And also the other aspect of that is that it's a condition for rebirth, the craving. And as long as one is continuing in samsara, there is the unsatisfactoriness of the conditioned nature of existence and dhammas. So that's dukkha at a different level, of course, but the same relationship applies.
Yes, yeah, that's a good comment also, John. Yeah, it was just interesting that little thought, or whatever, little ha-ha moment was very enlightening.
Another topic to continue next time, perhaps.
I think it's also occurred to me then that, there's no reason to blame someone else for your discomfort, or the politicians, or blah, blah, blah. It really comes back to right here, right now, this craving right here. And yeah, so
No one else is to blame at all.
I really appreciate Achan and these discussions bringing us right back to this very moment, because if this moment's not known, what's the point of studying? It just goes on and on and on. So thank you for great discussion. Thank you, Achan.
Yes.
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์ Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, John.
ขอบคุณมากครับท่านอาจารย์
คุณมาก
Thank you
Thank you very
very
much.
much.
Anumodana.
Thank you, Sarah, and everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
If
Anumodana.
you at all,
สวัสดีครับ
and the
Thank
do
you, Achan and everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ